And now, from approximately coast to coast, Blue Tiger, the only fireworks company with the space-age know-how to put your child on the moon, presents classic Bob and Ray. Hi, this is Bob Elliott. In the spring of 1954, Ray and I were broadcasting on WINS radio in New York. At the same time, Senator Joseph McCarthy was on television conducting his infamous hearings on alleged communist influence in the Army.
Mr. Chairman, may I suggest, I'm getting awfully sick of sitting down here at the end of the table and having whoever wants to interrupt in the middle of a sentence. Now, Mr. Welch made a statement. I raised the point of order that it was not a proper point of order. That it is not a proper point of order that he raised. And when Mr. Welch, under the guise of a point of order, said this was a group picture, I suggest that the chair make the record clear that Mr. Welch was not speaking the truth.
Well, after listening to McCarthy, Ray worked up an imitation of the senator's voice.
I think when you have a buffoon such as Detour going about the country, erecting skyscrapers without any knowledge, then he's endangering not only himself, but those who move into the building.
All right, order. Your time is up, Commissioner Carstairs. I'm sorry, your 5 minutes is up.
It was so convincing, we decided to conduct our own hearings in the context of one of our soap opera parodies. And here are those original broadcasts from 1954, introduced as always by Word Carr.
Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Now, for the many fans who wait for her on the radio, we present once again the interesting story, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. The story of a young girl from a deserted mining town out west who comes to New York to try to find romance and security as the wife of handsome Harry Backstage, Broadway star, and what it means to be the wife of the idol of a million other women. It's a few hours after the closing of the 6th day of Harry's hearing into Zoning Commissioner Carstairs' charges that he tear down his new 16-story home. And on the 14th floor, as Harry, Mary, Pop-beloved stage doorman, and Calvin Hoogivan, their next-door neighbor, sit talking over the day's hearing,
Seems so difficult to make sense, and the questions that they asked didn't seem to have any bearing.
That's right, Mary. I was way off the track all through the hearing today.
I couldn't watch very good. My hand was caught in the door again.
Another day, Calvin? That's ridiculous that you...
Stood there for almost 5 hours with my hand caught in the door.
I do think your attorney, Roland Surrogate, is doing a good job, though, Harry.
I could hardly think of what anyone was saying. I was thinking of my hand, and I wanted to open the door. They said anybody who opens the door will be in trouble.
Well, I think they'd let you take your hand out of the door, Calvin. That certainly is an emergency, and one that...
Well, I wasn't going to find out, boy.
He seems to be asking all the right questions, Harry.
I don't know.
Calvin?
The doctor said.
No, Attorney Surrogate.
The doctor said that 3 or 4 stitches will sew this up.
You'll need to go to the doctor, Calvin, for that?
Oh, yes, I'm very weak. Almost in shock.
Well, that's certainly rather an unhappy sidelight to the excitement we've had at City Hall.
Well, I didn't know that you had your hand caught in the door at all.
How much longer do you think the hearing's going to go on, Harry? Well, I don't know. We may be
About
able
3 weeks. I'll have to rest with
wind
this.
up tomorrow if we...
Probably have to have it elevated, and I don't know how to do that.
It'll be good if we get Mr. Carstairs on the stand.
Did you ever have your hand elevated?
Yes.
Sit up and down the elevator.
You did, Harry? Did what?
What,
Have
your hand elevated?
No. I thought you meant Commissioner Carstairs and Attorney Surrogate. No.
Oh, Commissioner who?
Carstairs.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Zoning Commissioner. He'll be on the stand tomorrow, and if Roland Surrogate has his way, he'll tie him all up in knots. I, for one, hope he does.
I'm going to call the chairman. I think maybe I can shed some light on this whole situation.
You are going to call the chairman, Mary? Chairman Harlan Mush?
I'm going to call him and tell him that I want to testify.
I wonder if that's a good idea, though, Mary.
What, elevate the hand? Well, I don't know. The doctor said.
No, he means to call Chairman Mush. Mary, do you have some inside information that you want to tell to the selectmen?
All I know is the truth, Harry. And you can't get into trouble when you tell the truth.
Mary's right, Harry.
Listen and obey.
If I were her, I'd call Chairman Mush.
You may command someday.
Well, that's a good idea, but maybe you should tell me before you tell Chairman Mush. After all, I'd like to know what's going to be brought out at the hearing.
All right, Harry. Would you step into the library?
Yes.
I'll tell you.
Of course. So Mary decides to ask Chairman Mush to put her on the stand. What news does she have that will bear on the fight between Harry and Zoning Commissioner Carstairs? Be sure and listen tomorrow when we hear Mary say,
And that is the truth, committee. I don't care who hangs. Ngah, ngah, ngah.
That's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Now, for the many fans who wait for her on the radio, we present once again the interesting story, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. The story of a young girl from a deserted mining town out west who comes to New York to try to find romance and security as the wife of handsome Harry Backstage, Broadway star, and what it means to be the wife of the idol of a million other women. Yesterday, the Backstage's next-door neighbor, Calvin Hoogivan, disclosed that he had a book of old zoning regulations in Skunk Haven, which he believed gave Harry the right to build the house where he did. And so it's back to the raucous room of the Skunk Haven Board of Selectmen we go this morning, as Harry's attorney, Roland Surrogate, seeks to get Calvin Hoogivan on the stand. We hear?
I think when you have a buffoon such as Detour,
Mr. Chairman,
going about the country,
there'll be order.
erecting skyscrapers without any knowledge, then he's endangering,
Mr. Chairman, I would
endangering
like
not only
the floor for
himself
just
but
a
those
minute.
who move into the building.
All right, order. Your time is up, Commissioner Carstairs. I'm sorry, your 5 minutes is up, and now we'll turn to Attorney Surrogate, and I'm sure he has something to introduce or to say. I do, Mr. Chairman, and I thank you for this opportunity. As I have said many times before, I'm just a simple show.
Oh, no, don't be cute. Don't be cute.
Attorney Surrogate has the floor.
Why can't he say
I
it?
assure you I'm not trying to be cute. Would I stoop so low as to try and fool someone as wise as you, Commissioner Carstairs?
Oh, don't pull it on me. I don't like that sarcasm.
I have very important information, and I would like to call Calvin Hoogivan to the witness chair.
Who?
All right, the chair feels that's a legitimate request. Order. Is Calvin Hoogivan in the raucous room this morning? Will you take the stand, please, sir? Tell us your full name.
Calvin Hoogivan.
And now we'll turn the examination over to our impartial referee, our dog catcher friend, Roy Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mush. You tell us your full name, please, sir.
Calvin Hoogivan.
And as I understand it, Mr. Hoogivan, you have been asked to bring a certain document, a publication, a book, if you will, to the ruckus room this morning, which you believe has some bearing on the question at hand. Is that correct?
That's right, sir.
Will you introduce it, please, as evidence?
Well, I'd like you to meet the book. The book I'd like you to meet.
Chair will accept the book.
I'd like you to meet
Turn it over to the
Chairman Myers.
I'll give it in turn to Commissioner Carstairs, since he is the head of the zoning department. Mr. Chairman, I object to Commissioner Carstairs receiving the evidence
What?
at this time. Well, the chair feels that he is still the zoning commissioner and therefore has the right to see whatever this document is if it concerns zoning.
I'm sure that if Mr. Surrogate had his way, I would get no information.
I feel that this does fall to Commissioner Carstairs. After all, he is still the acting zoning commissioner, and it's not on trial in any way here.
All right, then, Commissioner Carstairs, you may question Mr. Hoogovan or whomever you please.
Mr. Hoogovan, where do you live?
Oh, I live in
the chair feels that we're becoming a little irrelevant here because...
I live right beside the new skyscraper.
We have established that Mr. Hoogovan is the resident of Skunk Haven.
All right, let me finish. Mr. Hoogovan, did you have an opportunity to read... To read the regulations in this book?
Mr. Chairman, may I say, please, that I have not had time to look, with all of my other voluminous duties, to look at this publication which Mr.
Well, I didn't ask you if you'd read it. I'm asking the man on the stand.
Attorney Surrogate merely wanted to read that right into the record.
I assume a good attorney
will be part of the record.
Would have read it. I didn't ask you.
In the raucous room, or we'll have to force some of you to...
I'm asking you again. Mr. Hoogovan, have you ever read this book?
You can answer the question yes or no.
Yes, I did. That's why
the answer is yes.
I brought it over here to present it. I discovered...
Wait.
Mr. Chairman.
Wait, I don't care what you discovered.
Mr. Chairman, I feel maybe it would be expeditious if Commissioner Carstairs would simply read the title of the book so that is in the record, too.
The chair feels that's a legitimate request. If you'll comply...
All right, You've broken my punchline here. I'll tell you what happened. I was going to ask him if he had read these regulations and why they would apply. And now, in answer to your...
The chair apologizes for having...
No, it's all right.
Interrupted at that particular point.
It's all right. It's just this. I will read the title, and then I'd like this Hoogovan buffoon to leave. The title of this book, Zoning Regulations of Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
And so it would seem that Calvin Hoogovan has indeed thrown a bombshell into the hearing and possibly not helped Harry's case by introducing the zoning laws of Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Calvin may have weakened Harry's fight to keep his house. Be sure and listen tomorrow when we'll hear Commissioner Carstairs say...
I think in view of what's gone on, I think we can stop the hearing now and again demand that building be torn down.
Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Now, for the many fans who wait for her on the radio, we present once again the interesting story, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. The story of a young girl from a deserted mining town out west who comes to New York to try to find romance and security as the wife of handsome Harry Backstage, Broadway star. What it means to be the wife of the idol of a million other women. Yesterday, at the hearing in the raucous room of the Skunk Haven Board of Selectmen, into Zoning Commissioner Carstairs' order that Harry tear down his new 16-story home, the commissioner proved that the zoning regulation book introduced by Calvin Hoogovan was in reality the zoning regulations of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, not Skunk Haven. And as a murmur of excitement filled the room, Commissioner Carstairs continued his questioning.
I think it's only right that in view of the presentation here of fraudulent evidence, Well, I think, Mr. Chairman, it would only be fair now that if you just said that this hearing is over.
Well, the chair feels that we can't simply conclude the hearing in this fashion. However, we will.
This man Hoogerman here presented obviously phony evidence here.
Mr. Chairman, may I have the floor for just a minute? Chair recognizes Attorney Surrogate for Harry Backstage. I would like to simply say that I was wrong in introducing...
I'll say you were.
Or in having Mr. Hoogerman introduced.
I don't know what kind of an attorney it is that would permit this sort of evidence to be presented here.
As I stated yesterday, I had no time to read this evidence before it was submitted, and obviously it is not going to help Harry's cause.
You had no time at all to present any case at all.
I would suggest Mr. Hoogerman step down and let the questioning continue.
I think
Chair feels that's a very good suggestion, unless you have further questions.
Don't you think we should warn Hoogerman that probably there'll be some action taken here in his case?
Well, that, of course, is not for us to decide, and the chair at this point thanks Mr. Hoogerman for being a very good witness, and you may leave the witness chair, Mr. Hoogerman.
I think we will...
Mr. Chairman, as impartial referee, I would like to call back to the witness chair at this time the central figure and the man who probably can wind this whole thing up with the right answers, and that is Mr. Backstage.
All right, if there are no objections, then we will call Mr. Backstage once again to the witness chair. Harry?
Okay, is it my turn?
You have 5 minutes, Commissioner Carstairs.
I wonder now if you'd care to tell us, Backstage, how many plays on Broadway in which you appeared?
May I speak to my attorney for just a moment?
Oh, don't you know? I mean, what kind of an actor is it that doesn't know how many shows he's appeared in? I don't...
I have the answer.
Sick.
I have the answer, Mr. Carstairs. 16.
You've appeared in 16 shows. That's been over a period of how many years?
The last 12 years.
12 years. I wonder, could you tell us now how many plays were successful? Or maybe the answer I want, let's put it this way. Scratch that, please. How many flops have you appeared in?
Well, it's rather difficult to answer. How to speak to. It depends on whether you go by the critics or by my own views or the general public.
The public.
Just what do you want?
I just want to know how many flops. How many flops were, let's put them this way, how many were financial flops?
Out of the 16, I'd say probably 12.
12. I don't think, then, that
Mr. Chairman,
listing your occupation as an actor is an accurate description.
I think
you're a court jester.
Of personal privilege,
I think
Mr.
you're nothing but a court jester.
Chair will recognize Attorney Surrogate for just a moment. He evidently has something to add. I would just like to object to the line of questioning. I don't think that Harry's past theatrical history has any bearing on whether or not he should have built this 16-story home.
Well, why then does he list his occupation as actor? How can he be an actor?
Well, he obviously is an actor, Commissioner Carstairs, and
flop actor.
I think we'd better move to another line of questioning if you...
Is your car paid for?
I'll speak to my attorney for just a moment.
I can tell you right now, it is not. It is not paid for.
And so Commissioner Carstairs tries another line of attack. And this, possibly another bombshell in the hearing. Be sure and listen tomorrow when an exciting and interesting piece of evidence is introduced and we hear Commissioner Carstairs say...
Right here, I have all the names that signed the petition blown up so that the members of the audience can see them. And they're all frauds.
That's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage, Noble Wife.
Throughout Greater New York and New Jersey. The time now is 4 minutes after 7:04.
Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Now, for the many fans who wait for her on the radio, we present once again the interesting story, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. The story of a young girl from a deserted mining town out west who comes to New York to try to find romance and security as the wife of handsome Harry Backstage Broadway star, and what it means to be the wife of the idol of a million other women. It's a few minutes before the opening of the Friday afternoon session in the raucous room of Skunk Haven's Town Hall, where the hearing between Harry and Zoning Commissioner Carstairs over Harry's 16-story skyscraper home is in its 8th day. And outside in the hallway, announcer Larry Lovebreath interviews some of the participants in the hearing for his fans of WINS TV.
I see that Harry Backstage is standing over. Harry, I wonder if we could talk with you for just a moment.
Yes, hello, Larry.
Just face the WINS TV camera here, Harry.
Certainly.
Tell us, how many more days do you think that the hearings will drag on now?
Well, I don't know, Larry, but I certainly am willing to stay here as long as it will take if I can come out the victor and keep the house where it is. I don't want to tear
What do
it
you
down.
think? I mean, what are your opinions right now?
I'd rather not say, Larry, but I'm happy with things in general.
I wonder if you'd care to comment on the evidence that Hoogovan admitted the other day.
I'd rather let my attorney, Mr. Surrogate, here speak.
Do you have any
for me.
opinions, Harry, as regarding the blow-ups of the petition that Commissioner Carstairs brought in yesterday?
Can't be anything to that, Larry, and I'm sure that we'll be able to take care of that. I don't want to say anything more about it at this time.
What are you planning when the hearings end? A long vacation, I suppose, Harry? A rest?
Yes, there is some talk about me returning to Broadway in a new play in October, and I'll
Another
probably
flop,
have to go into rehearsals. Well, I hope it won't be this time, Larry.
That was brought out. What were your reactions to that being brought out?
I thought it was a rather unfair question on Commissioner Carstairs' part.
Of the 16 plays and shows in which you participated, 12 were financial flops.
Well, you see, it had nothing to do with my building a 16-story home in the first place. It was completely irrelevant.
No, but it did bring out the fact that you're not too responsible a person.
Well, I'm afraid we'll have to let that up to the public, Larry.
To quote several of the editorials...
I see my wife, Mary. Would you excuse me? I've got to go over and speak with her.
Certainly.
Maybe Mr. Surrogate will speak.
That was the irresponsible Harry Backstage, who is the Broadway star and, of course, one of the principals in the hearing. He's talking with his wife. I wonder if I could speak with you, Mr. Surrogate.
I'd be very happy to speak to you, Mr. Lovebreath.
Surrogate, of course, is familiar to all you viewers. He's Harry Backstage's attorney here at the hearings. Well, tell us, how long do you think the hearings will last?
I can't see that this circus, to use Commissioner Carstairs' word, can go on much longer. I wouldn't be surprised if we could wind up by Monday or Tuesday. Wednesday at the latest next week.
That's certainly encouraging because we back at WINS TV being a little pushed now to get some of our commercials in. This has cost us a considerable penny to present these hearings. I wonder if you would care to comment on the evidence presented by Calvin Hoogovan, the zoning regulations of Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
As I stated in the raucous room, Larry, I didn't have time to read over what it was that I merely knew that he wanted to introduce something which he thought would help Harry, and I said, go ahead. Any little thing can help. I hadn't read it. I didn't know that they were the zoning regulations of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, instead of Skunk Haven. Obviously, they weren't of any value to Harry and may have lowered his position a little bit.
Oh, I'd say definitely.
It was a completely stupid thing for Mr. Hoogovan to do.
And I think it was stupid of you, don't you, not to have looked at it?
I'll have to admit that I should have looked at it, yes.
And, of course, representing irresponsible Harry Backstage is a challenge to any attorney I know. But I see now that Commissioner Mush is banging the gavel on the table.
Thank you for this opportunity, Larry.
Thank you, and lots
go
of
inside now.
Lots of luck to you, sir.
Buddy, in the raucous room,
Now you can
visitors
hear
are reminded once
Chairman
again
Mush
that
calling the hearings
there will be no
manifestation of approval or disapproval.
To order,
But,
so now
there is
we'll
such
turn you to
audible
the
manifestation.
raucous room.
You'll be escorted from the room or kicked out by the uniformed guards who are seated among you, every other seat.
Right, one moment.
Now, as we're in order now, we're in session. Mr. Backstage is on the stand.
One moment.
And Commissioner Carstairs, you have something to say, I believe.
I just don't know. I don't know if it's right. During every one of these recesses, this love breath character goes on the air, and I noticed that he presents just backstage, just to surrogate.
Well, the chair...
Not once has he asked me to appear.
The chair feels
I
that
don't
Mr.
think. I think they're playing to the TV audience.
Mr. Lovebreath
I don't like
has been impartial in his
don't
interviews.
give me that.
And while he has interviewed the backstage side and Mr. Backstage's attorney, he has taken the stand of the entire Board of Selectmen and of our zoning commissioner, and that is that Harry is in the wrong. However, this is impartial, and we will continue now.
Don't give me that.
Carstairs, you have 5 minutes, and I believe you had some evidence that you wanted to...
I just wanted to point out here these blow-ups, these photostatic blow-ups I have.
Mr.
The
Chairman, may we
petition...
see the much talked about blow-ups and find out just
Oh, you'll see them. Don't you worry. You're going to see them. You'll see them all day.
Do you have them with you, Commissioner
I
Carstairs?
have them right here.
Someone, one of the attendants, stand them up there in the hall, in the corner, where they can be seen.
Very large. They're 18 feet by 32 feet. I'm sure that everyone can see them.
We can all see them. Now, just what is the point you want to
Point I'm trying to bring out, just look at those names. There's Jacques Biraben,
Yes, the chair sees the name of Jacques Biraben.
Jack Barnes,
Jack Barnes.
Robert Leader, Robert Smith. All these names I've checked. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to point out here that they're not residents of Skunk Haven. They're all from the next town.
You mean to say that none of the names on Harry's petition are residents of Skunk Haven?
Indeed not. I accuse Backstage and his attorney now of gross fraud.
And so Zoning Commissioner Carstairs has really thrown a bombshell into the hearing in Skunk Haven. And if his accusation is true, Harry's case seems pretty well lost. We'll learn more of the activities in Skunk Haven on Monday, when we'll hear Mary say...
I'm sorry, Harry. They've decided that we must tear down the building.
That's Monday in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage, Noble Wife.
Well, that's about all the time we have today. Classic Bob and Ray was written and performed by Bob Elliott and Ray Goulding. Additional material by Tom Cook, Lars Hoel, and Ole Olehi. Classic Bob and Ray was developed for the Radio Foundation by our executive producer, Larry Josephson. Lars Hoel is our program producer, engineering by Jerry LaRosa, Bill O'Neill, and Manoli Wetherell.
And now this is Ray Goulding reminding you to write if you get work.
Bob Elliott reminding you to hang by your thumbs.
This program was independently produced and distributed by the Radio Foundation. This is the Radio Art Radio Network.
And now, from approximately coast to coast, the makers of Tingle, the long-wearing dental floss made of spun glass fiber, present Classic Bob and Ray. Hi, this is Bob Elliott. For 36 days in early 1954, America watched on television as Senator Joseph McCarthy investigated the presence of communists in the U.S. Army.
Mr. Chairman, the point of order is this, that Mr. Welch, under the guise of making a point of order, has testified that a picture is doctored. He makes the completely false statement, so this is a group picture. It is not.
The council advises the chair, may I say, that...
May I finish my point of order, Mr. Chairman?
Not a point of order, you can't touch it. Council advises the chair that the senator is engaging in a statement of cross-examination rather than a point of order.
Mr. Chairman, I am getting rather sick of being interrupted in the middle of a sentence. If what I say...
I would like to say that if...
Now, Mr. Chairman, do I have the floor now or do I not?
Ray and I decided to parody the Army McCarthy hearings in our series, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife.
As you know, I took the liberty to have blown up to 18 by 32 feet the petition so that you could all see these names.
All right, well, we've all seen the list of names.
Jacques Biraven, Robert Leader, Robert Smith, Jack Barnes, Charles Amau, all phony names, all frauds.
Mr. Chairman, may I have just one?
Like the hearings themselves, our Mary Backstage plots grew more and more outrageous, and for you who remember, more on target. In these excerpts from our morning show on WINS New York in 1954.
Now, for the many fans who wait for her on the radio, we present once again the interesting story, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. The story of a young girl from a deserted mining town out west who comes to New York to try to find romance and security as the wife of handsome Harry Backstage, Broadway star, and what it means to be the wife of the idol of a million other women. It's a few minutes after our last episode concluded, in which Zoning Commissioner Carstairs threw a bombshell into the hearings at Skunk Haven Town Hall, into the question of whether or not Harry should tear down his new 16-story skyscraper home. And if you remember, Commissioner Carstairs had just introduced evidence that all of the names on Harry's petition to keep his house standing were from people not living in Skunk Haven. Now, as the crowd becomes angry and listens, Chairman Mush tries to get the attention of those present. Order in the raucous room. I wonder if you'd repeat, Commissioner Carstairs, what you just said. I don't believe that we all have got the full import of it.
As you know, I took the liberty to have blown up to 18 by 32 feet the petition so that you could all see these names.
All right, well, we've all seen the list
Jacques
of names.
Biraven, Robert Leader, Robert Smith, Jack Barnes, Charles Amau, all phony names, all frauds.
Mr. Chairman, may I have just one small minute of your
let me finish.
Precious time?
Let me finish. And these people who have signed the petition demanding a hearing in Skunk Haven do not even live. They do not even live in Skunk Haven. This is a fraud.
You're saying that the entire petition contains fraudulent names and therefore cannot be of any use, I think, possibly...
I'm afraid there's some criminal activity here.
All right, the chair will recognize Commissioner...
I think I should warn Backstage now and his attorney that this will not end here. That when you get petitions, you have to be sure who signs them.
Order in the raucous room now. I believe that Attorney Surrogate wanted to have a word, and he should have on Harry Backstage's behalf.
I'm very interested to know what he's going to say.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Carstairs, yes. I would like, in the light of this evidence, which we had hoped to introduce on Harry's behalf, but now which seems to be, in effect, helping Commissioner Carstairs' cause.
Helping?
That we...
Hardly is a word. It's ruined your case.
I move that we have an adjournment for half an hour while we can repair our fences. Well,
I don't know what fences have to be repaired here.
The chair feels that is a reasonable request if there are no objections from the selectmen on my right, those on my left.
I'd like to warn Mr. Surrogate
Chair
Backstage.
Will state that there will be a half hour...
Don't leave town.
There'll be a half hour...
I'm warning them. Do not leave town.
We'll take a half hour off and return here at 11 o'clock.
I know there's an express train to New York leaves in 5 or 10 minutes.
And a few minutes later, in a small anteroom off the Raucous Room at Skunkhaven Town Hall, Attorney Surrogate, Harry Backstage, and Harry's wife, Mary, confer over a small table.
Well, as he said, there is a fast train to New York any minute.
No, Mary, running away is no answer to this problem.
Harry, I can't understand why you have spent 2 weeks talking about this petition, how important it would be, and then to have it proved that all of the names are of people outside of Skunkhaven.
Absolutely irresponsible.
Well, I was hoping it would sneak through, that's all, and I never thought that Commissioner Carstairs would check.
Commissioner Carstairs will hang you with this.
Yes, Mary, I know. I'm in a tough spot here. Well, Harry, I'm simply going to have to go back in there after the recess is over and simply say that we have no further case to present.
You don't mean to say you're giving up?
What else can I do, Mary? I have my reputation to uphold.
But can't you think of something? Reputation?
Maybe there... Let me see. Let me think. The book of zoning regulations is no good. The petition is out.
And I'm afraid that there is some criminal action there.
What do you think Commissioner Carstairs will do next, Roland? Call me Attorney Surrogate, please, Harry. I'm afraid he's going to throw the book at you, Harry. I think that you probably have one of the weakest legs to stand on of anyone I've ever had as a client. But I'll do my best.
So during a recess in the hearing at Skunkhaven, Harry's case looks all but lost. Will Attorney Surrogate be able to come up with something which will help Harry? Be sure and listen tomorrow when we'll hear Mary say,
Look, Harry, Attorney Surrogate, here's a picture of Commissioner Carstairs laughing and shaking hands with Mr. Detour.
That's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage, Noble Wife.
Time now, 5 minutes after 7.
Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Now, for the many fans who wait for her on the radio, we present once again the interesting story, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. The story of a young girl from a deserted mining town out west who comes to New York to try to find romance and security as the wife of handsome Harry Backstage, Broadway star, and what it means to be the wife of the idol of a million other women. It's a few minutes after yesterday's episode now, as the 1 hour recess called when Commissioner Carstairs proved that all of the names on Harry's petition were phony names, is over. And Harry, Mary, Roland Surrogate, and the members of the Board of Selectmen file back into the Raucous Room. And we hear?
So I think it would only be right now if we adjourned these hearings so that we could come to some decision. I believe with all this phony evidence has been submitted by Backstage and Surrogate, it's only a comedy now to keep these things going.
Your time is up, Commissioner Carstairs. The chair will recognize now any selectman on my right, or a selectman on my left, or our impartial dog catcher, referee, Roy Perkins.
I have no question, Mr. Chairman. However, I would like to make a suggestion, and that is, since we have heard what we believe to be all of the information on both sides, that at this time we call the hearings to a halt and decide that we have all of the information we want.
Well, we can't do that as yet because we have to get the vote of the entire membership. The chair does feel that we have covered just about everything that can be. And now we will give the floor to
Mr. Perkins.
Mr. Backstage's attorney.
One moment.
You're out of order, Commissioner Carstairs.
I'd just like to say
you're
that
out
I think
of
Mr.
order.
Perkins has been eminently fair
Order.
during this entire hearing.
Thank you, Commissioner Carstairs.
I just want that in the record.
All right, it will be put into the record, and the chair will voice the same feeling. And now Roland Surrogate, attorney for Harry Backstage, has 5 minutes if he cares to say anything. I do care, Commissioner, or Chairman Marsh. I would like very much to introduce to this honorable assemblage, and in particular to our impartial referee, Roy Perkins, this picture, which Mary Backstage found at home, and which we have had blown up so that all here in the Board of Selectmen Raucous Room can see it. The chair doesn't quite understand what this picture is supposed to represent. However, we'll take the picture under consideration. I can describe what the picture represents. The picture of these two men shows them both smiling and shaking hands. One is Commissioner Carstairs, obviously, and the other is the construction man, Roland.
Oh, wait here. One moment.
Oh,
wait a moment. Wait a moment here. Oh, no, don't pull that on me.
Collusion between the two.
Oh, wait, I'm afraid.
Well, in the light of this
is
picture,
phony.
We'll have to accept the picture as evidence, Commissioner Carstairs, because it does very obviously show you shaking hands with Andre Detour and smiling with him.
This is evil.
Mr. Chairman.
Phony here.
Mr. Chairman, I request that we call Andre Detour back to the stand for further questioning.
Oh, this is...
Chair feels a very good request.
This is phony.
Andre Detour, take the witness chair again, please. There'll be order in the Raucous Room. We'll recess for 5 minutes, and then we'll return with Andre Detour.
I don't like this.
And fighting back at Commissioner Carstairs, attorney Roland Surrogate introduces a picture purported to be of Carstairs and Andre Detour. What will this mean to Harry's case? Be sure and listen tomorrow when we'll hear Fielding Backstage say,
"Hey, Eddie, I'm glad you're still alive. You know it?"
That's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Now, for the many fans who wait for her on the radio, we present once again the interesting story, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. The story of a young girl from a deserted mining town out west who comes to New York to try to find romance and security as the wife of handsome Harry Backstage, Broadway star, and what it means to be the wife of the idol of a million other women. Yesterday, attorney Roland Surrogate introduced a surprise at the hearings in Skunk Haven when he produced a picture found originally by Mary and blown up to size 6 by 8 foot, showing Commissioner Carstairs shaking hands with building owner Andre Detour and smiling. And there was a near riot in the Raucous Room as the questioning began.
I don't think it's right. I'd like to determine who is responsible for the composition of this picture. I do not remember it under any circumstance.
Commissioner Carstairs, you don't have the floor at this particular moment.
I have the floor to defend myself. Oh, no, don't tell me that.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, yes, I have the
Chairman
floor.
Marsh, may
When
I
I'm accused of posing with a picture, I certainly have the floor.
There's no accusation.
Tell me I don't have the floor.
Merely
I have the floor.
to prove collusion.
And I'll keep the floor.
All right.
I want you to know that.
Order in the ruckus room, or the uniformed attendants will be required to throw you out. Now, if there are no objections from the selectman to my right or to my left, or from Commissioner Carstairs, I think the logical thing to do is to allow our impartial referee, our dog catcher friend Roy Perkins, to continue the general examination in regard to the new evidence.
Thank you, Chairman Marsh. I would like, before I begin, to ask if Commissioner Carstairs would give me a copy of the letter which Andre Detour received.
Oh, what letter? I don't know what you mean.
The letter that Harry Backstage wrote asking that the house be built. And while you're doing that, Commissioner Carstairs, I'd like to
one
ask
moment.
Chairman
One moment. You asked for a letter. Let's get it over to you.
Well, the chair
Let's not
feels...
confuse the issue. Let's not keep bringing up these things.
He merely
you
asked for the letter. If you have it in your files,
Let's wait. Let's get it to him. Let's get it to him right now.
I merely want
I have the letter right here.
I would like to
Here you
ask
are.
that another witness.
But just don't cloud the issue. That's all I ask.
Take care of the letter first, and then the other witness will be called.
Certainly you
have
the
the letter
letter.
there. There you are, Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, and I'm going to hand this to my assistant. Harry, I wonder if you just put this down. Phone, don't.
Wait a minute.
Just put it. And now, Chairman Marsh, I wonder if you would call to the witness chair the construction man, the builder of Harry Backstage's home, Andre Detour.
All right, if Andre Detour is in the ruckus room, will he take the witness chair, please, and we'll proceed with the general examination. Did I hear him? He's here, and he's making his way through the myriad cameras and microphones and the press representatives. Order. All right, you are Andre Detour.
That's right, sir.
And Commissioner Carstairs, you have no objection if we let our impartial referee, Mr. Perkins, continue the examination in regard only to the picture. That is
you have the letter now?
I have the letter.
Good.
Thank you very much,
I just wanted to make sure you had that letter.
I would like to ask you, first of all, Mr. Detour, your full name, please.
Andre L. Detour.
And, Mr. Detour, you are or not engaged in the construction business, is that right?
I am engaged in the construction business.
Now, I wonder if you would take a look at this picture that was introduced by Roland Surrogate, the attorney, and tell me who you recognize in that picture.
Well, I recognize me.
That is you to the right, is that right, sir?
That's
and
me,
the other
smiling.
gentleman in the picture is?
Is Commissioner Carstairs.
All right. Now, having established that, I would like you to tell me if you recall where this picture was taken, on what occasion, and why you were smiling and shaking hands with Commissioner Carstairs.
It's a little hazy now, but the background serves to remind me of the location. It was at the site of the Backstage home.
It was at the site of the Backstage home. Was that before or after the construction of this 16-story edifice had begun?
That was before. We were just surveying the land.
Chairman Marsh, may I object to the line of questioning? The chair doesn't feel any objection is in order. Mr. Surrogate, the questions are concerning the picture, and that is what was the charge of the chairman to our impartial referee, and I feel he's doing a very good job.
Thank you, Chairman Marsh. Now tell me one more thing. Will you give me the reason why, Mr. Detour, you and Commissioner Carstairs were smiling?
He had just said something very funny.
So
Now, the re-examination of Andre Detour in connection with the picture introduced by Roland Surrogate continues at Skunk Haven Town Hall. Will the outcome help Harry or hinder his cause? Be sure and listen tomorrow when we'll hear Commissioner Carstairs say,
I want you all to know that this picture has been doctored with.
That's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Now, for the many fans who wait for her on the radio, we present once again the interesting story, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. The story of a young girl from a deserted mining town out west who comes to New York to try to find romance and security as the wife of handsome Harry Backstage, Broadway star. And what it means to be the wife of the idol of a million other women. Today we leave the crowded courtroom in Skunk Haven and all of the excitement attendant the hearing concerning Harry's new 16-story skyscraper home and travel some miles east of Skunk Haven to the hideout which Harry's black sheep brother Fielding has been staying in for the past 8 weeks. And as Fielding goes about his chores, listening to the radio, he thinks to himself,
I don't know. I have a feeling that I'm responsible for Harry being in this trouble. Maybe if I hadn't taken him away on that silly trip to the islands, he wouldn't have been in this problem.
George and Gracie.
Even if I had Eddie the Dip with me now, the two of us could work out some plan whereby I could go in and probably take care of Harry.
And would like to play this
I don't
too
know.
for a little Susie W. Powell.
Yeah, it's too bad that Eddie the Dip ain't here.
For
too bad.
Grace and Harry.
Just wonder if...
The number has been requested by Vic Cowan, Peter Roberts, and Joe Levine down at Joe's Diner. And all the gang.
I think I'll turn off the radio.
Want to have a good time dancing. Here it is, kids, coming at you, your favorite song.
Turn it off, I think. Who's there?
It's me, Feeling.
Who?
Me, Eddie, the Dip. Let me in, will you, Feeling? Feeling.
What?
It's me, Eddie, let me in. Well, come in, I can't, the door's locked. Feeling.
What?
I can't get in.
Well, I don't know. Come in through the window.
All right. Feeling.
Eddie the Dip.
That's right.
You ain't dead.
That's right, Feeling. I'm as alive as I ever was. And I'm back for bigger and better crimes.
You ain't dead.
Meanwhile, at the same moment, in the crowded courtroom in Skunk Haven, Commissioner Mush tries to get the attention of the members in the hearing in the raucous room.
Ready?
We'll continue. You have about 2 minutes left, Commissioner Carstairs. If you have any further questions concerning the picture of you and Andre Detour.
Mr. Detour, I'd like to ask you this question. You say you definitely remember posing for this?
Yes, I do.
All right. Would you also be so nice as to discuss that? Who else was there? Who else has been cut out of this print?
Mr. Chairman Mush, I object to this line of questioning.
I noticed that there is
Order, there'll be order. Raucous room as usual, or we'll have trouble.
To answer your question, Commissioner, I do notice...
Mr. Chairman, I object again that...
I do notice...
Commissioner Carstairs is insinuating that someone else has been cut out of the picture.
Well, it's pretty obvious there. There's an elbow you can see belonging to somebody else who, I don't know for what reason, has been cropped right out of this picture.
In other words, this is not the complete full picture that was taken?
Indeed, it is not. No, this has been doctored with. This is another fraud.
So the colloquy continues in the raucous room. Sheriff Commissioner Carstairs tries to prove that the picture has been fooled with. Be sure to listen tomorrow when Andre Detour makes a surprising revelation. We hear him say...
That other person, to the best of my memory, is Calvin Hoogerman.
That's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage, Noble Wife.
Well, that's about all the time we have today. Classic Bob and Ray was written and performed by Bob Elliott and Ray Goulding. Additional material by Tom Cook, Lars Hoel, and Ole Olehi. Classic Bob and Ray was developed for the Radio Foundation by our executive producer, Larry Josephson. Lars Hoel is our program producer, engineering by Jerry LaRosa, Bill O'Neill, and Manoli Wetherell.
And now this is Ray Goulding reminding you to write if you get work.
Bob Elliott reminding you to hang by your thumbs.
This program was independently produced and distributed by the Radio Foundation. This is the Radio Art Radio Network.